We got Lib Watch. We're going to do SNL Watch. Obviously, we're going to do Poll Watch. Before we get to Lib Watch, I think I'm going to start it off with the Seltzer poll. And we're not talking about the Alka-Seltzer, okay? Now, something big, something very big people were waiting on, okay? People were waiting on something real fucking big. Oh, shit. Before I forget, let me blast off that I'm live. I forgot. Holy shit. What is happening? I'm all over the place today. Goddamn. Goddamn. We do a meat watch? Sure. Okay. Hogs Malding, Hog Watch, Poll Watch, SNL Sunday, Lib Watch, and more days till E-Day. Get in now. Okay, twitch.tv/ Hasanabi. What's Meat Watch? Don't worry about it. Do we have a do we have a blast off meme? Can you explain why Mike from PA seems to take all pro-Trump data as fact and all pro-Kamala data as fantasy? I don't think he does that. I think that anyone who tells you that they are exclusively doing poll watch, not like doing vibes-based analysis on top of that, is lying. And I don't think Michael from Pennsylvania would tell you that he's just straight piping the data. He's adding a degree of vibe check. He's vibe checking the data. Okay? And that's normal. I do that too. That's precisely the reason why, and I've said this already. That's precisely the reason why I have said time and time again that in spite of running a dogshit campaign, like I kept telling libs to fear not, okay? And that ultimately Kamala Harris is probably still going to win in spite of all of my criticisms of her campaign. I've said this for months and months. The closest I've gotten to thinking that the election might change in favor of Donald Trump was a couple of weeks prior, where the momentum swung so heavily in the direction of Donald Trump, you know? And I think that this does not mean that like Kamala Harris is absolutely 100% going to win. You know, you would have asked me a couple months ago, I would have given Kamala Harris a chance a much higher likelihood as I did. A great example is almost every poll has AZ Trump like +2 to -4, but the demographics, population growth, voting patterns, and ground game all heavily favor Kamala. So it's at best tilt or toss up. Depends on Phoenix turns out in the end. That's it. People read too far in either direction. Polls only versus other data only. I think I have a pretty healthy balance in this. I look at the polls. I do a little bit of poll watching, but then beyond that, I also do a little bit of vibe checking. And so far, especially with this with the Seltzer poll coming out of Iowa, which I'm going to get into right now, my attitude has been fairly correct. I still maintain the position that Kamala Harris is winning in spite of her bad campaigning. Okay? Make no mistake. Many people will turn around and say, what do you mean? You're so critical of Kamala Harris. Like, you're wrong. She's going to win if you think she's going to win. Or maybe she wins and then you're going to be like, well, fucking Hassan, I told you so. Like, she was going to win. She did a good campaign. You were wrong. It's like, no. No, it's not just about winning. It's about how you win. It's about what margins you win with. It's about what base of support you are capable of activating in that process. And I think Kamala Harris should not even be on shaky ground at this point. That's my point. That's my issue. This should not be a close race. The road to Harris leading in Iowa, yeah, she's probably going to send some people over there now that this shit came out. Once you saw the polls not move after Trump got shot, you've been saying it's Kamala's election to lose. I mean, no. Trump gets shot. He's going up against Joe Biden. Trump is still going to win. 100p. It's so obvious that he's still going to win. It's so obvious that he's still going to win that like Joe Biden has to drop out, right? After that occurs, Kamala Harris made up like 10 points. It was crazy in a matter of days. And then they just cast aside all that momentum for no reason. My entire Twitter feed turned into Twin Pool level 49 state landslide. No, that's stupid. That's stupid. That is silly. And I think people are discounting how much momentum there is still for Donald Trump. But I assume people are just like joking anyway. I don't think they're being serious. But yeah, Seltzer's considered the gold standard, except she was demoted to the silver standard, I believe, for one of the caucuses that she did not participate in. Even if her poll is wrong, right? Like, she has a pretty solid track record. She has a incredibly strong track record of being off by like basically 1 point. You know what I mean? That's the thing. If you look at like her last Iowa poll versus results here, I mean, this is a good example. 2022 Senate, R plus 12, R plus 12. 2020 president, R plus 7. Turns out it was R plus 8. 2027, R plus 4. Turns out it was R plus 7. 2018 governor, D plus 2. It's R plus 3. 2016 president, R plus 7, R plus 9. 2014 Senate, R plus 7, R plus 8. 2012 Senate president, D plus 5, D plus 6. So far as like pollsters goes, I mean, that's pretty. So governor is always going to be different. The gubernatorial race is unique. But beyond that, I mean, this is as reliable as you can be. You know what I mean? There is nothing you don't get more reliable than that in terms of polling. And also, yeah, the average Iowan voter just seemingly loves when the Democrats don't have a cracker ass president. You know what I mean? Iowans are basically like, give me a black Democrat. I don't want no white boy. Okay. What the fuck is this shit? Which is funny because it's like 98% white. They do. This is 2 for 2. Okay. That's where I disagree with you. Ours should be, by all accounts, absolutely crushing Dems, massive inflation, economic unrest, globally incumbent parties trash because of economic stuff, border unrest. The baseline. No, this is not a normal raise. What are you talking about? Yeah, if Nikki Haley was running right now, it would be Jover. The fuck do you mean? This is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is maxed out on his fucking base of support and has a very limited avenue to pick up new people. Okay, he was the president. He won once. He was the president for 4 years, and then he fucking lost. It's over at that point. People have made up their fucking minds about him. I think that's crazy to say Kamala winning is a wild upset. That's insane. If it wasn't Donald Trump, you are 100% right. But it's not. It's not someone else. It's Donald Trump. So if you're going up against Donald Trump, a person who already lost an election, okay, yeah, it's pretty nutty that it's like this close. I cannot comprehend how anyone, you are a sellout unless you react to Candace Owens' podcast series covering Kamala's ethnicity. What? That's awesome. Yeah, dude, I don't give a fuck. What are you, crazy? I mean, look, this could have been better for Donald Trump, even against Kamala Harris. But Donald Trump is still Donald Trump. And he keeps reminding everybody how he is Donald Trump. And this is what I said about the Iowa poll, right? The Des Moines Seltzer poll. I said, look, you got Roe v. Wade, massively consequential. You got January 6th, okay? Which isn't necessarily like a threat to democracy or whatever, because like pollsters show that's not the top priority at all. But it actually spells that he's like a sore fucking loser and really narcissistic, which reminds everybody what they don't like about Donald Trump, okay? That's important. That is absolutely fucking important. You got JD Vance, massively consequential pick, massively awful pick for Donald Trump. That's a base pick. You already had the base. Good luck on that. You have tens of millions of dollars wasted on anti-trans ads. shows that their priorities are in the wrong direction, shows that they literally think, shows that they think that these are the top priorities. It's like, you're fucking stupid. Just talk about the economy, jackass. You fucking idiot. Talk about the economy. Talk about how you're anti-war, but you won't do that because you're Donald Trump. Then you have anti-immigrant screeds instead of messaging discipline on economy, dog shit tariff plan, which was effectively countered as a mass sales tax, which I really liked. Kamala Harris's campaign has had a couple big W's. That was one of them. Okay. On the communication front, that was a very, very effective way of deflating the whole tariff thing because it was objectively a stupid economic policy anyway. Threatening to use the military on enemy from within, and these are the results. Every normie lib I know thinks the anti-trans ads are effective. I don't know why. Just stop talking to fucking liberals, please, okay? The reason why normie liberals think it's effective is the exact same reason why they think Kamala Harris is brilliant for tacking to the right. Because they're 1, stupid, 2, terrified of Republicans, and 3, they kind of like Republicans at the same time, okay? That's why everything liberals advocate for, everything liberals talk about comes from a place of fear, okay? Yeah, here it is. Seltzer poll has Trump with just 28% of senior women and losing senior men by 2 points straight into the garbage. Similarly, this guy is saying it's thrown into the garbage. I don't think it's garbanzo at all. I think it's valid. I think normal whites theory is undefeated. Normal whites don't like this shit, okay? Need a good Seltzer poll on top of the survey plus the Kansas R plus 5-1 to fully establish the Trump KKK racker, KKK collapse narrative. Ohio polling, where there's no real incentive to herd, corresponding with the Washington primary more than the rest of the Rust Belt, it has been noted. That's crazy. Ohio being only +3 is crazy. I think that a lot of people are fucking annoyed with the way that Donald Trump and his silly ass fucking hogs operate. Okay. And I know there are people in here who voted for Jill Stein. There are people in here who are like objectively not voting. How much do you fucking hate Donald Trump and his stupid ass supporters? If you feel that way, then yeah, you think people who don't give a fuck about Gaza are not feeling that way. Of course they're feeling that way. It's like very little to do with people going out and voting for, Kamala Harris's wonderful $50,000 in tax cuts for startups policy, and everything to do with, I don't want these fucking freaks anywhere near a position of power. Okay, that's it. MAGA is claiming Diddy paid wait, what? Seltzer, you're an embarrassment. Was the Diddy paycheck really worth it? And Seltzer after P. Diddy invites a random Iowa pollster to his pedophile ring parties for some reason. Okay, so there's a 56-year-old woman here. The reason I was turning blue is abortion. Yes. Abortion is yet another obviously annoying fucking Trump thing, okay? People are annoyed. People are mad. People are grossed out by the way that the Trumpian Republican Party operates. This is literally not anything different than the 2022 term red wave turning into a fucking baby puddle. It's the same shit. The only difference between that and what's going on right now, and it's not like this isn't in the bag. I know that like libs are doing victory laps as though like the election is over, they're going to win, whatever. It's still close. I don't think people understand. It's still a toss up in my opinion, but I still favor Kamala Harris on it for how badly Donald Trump has presented himself this entire time. He's done no convincing whatsoever that he would be different somehow, or at least like try to remind people of all the good stuff about how the economy was good when he was president, and instead doing like the worst campaigning possible by sucking the microphone and complaining for 45 minutes about like audio people, or just being a fucking racist piece of shit that is really annoying and people don't respond positively to. I live in Kansas. I wouldn't be surprised if Kansas goes Kamala. Momentum is huge here, and Kansas remembers defeating the... What? No, I don't think Kansas is going to Kamala. That's fucking nuts. Harris has to be up 10 to 12 points nationally for this result, and she's simply not. I don't believe she's winning senior men in Iowa, or that over 55s are voting 10 points left of under 35s. Polling is just broken. I don't know how to process this at all. They voted down the abortion bill, though. Yeah, but that doesn't. But that was separate. Is there a ballot measure in Kansas for abortion this time around? Final New York Times polls, Edinger Momentum was waiting on them too, shows a tie in Michigan and PA. So here's the deal. While the liberals are doing victory laps over the Seltzer poll, this is also why I'm saying that it's still a close race. I think that it still favors Kamala Harris, but it's a close race nonetheless. And the only reason why it's a close race, and I know Lib Dejder is going to get very mad at me for saying this, but it's because Kamala Harris has not done enough messaging and communication beyond harm reduction for the base voters. You can't rely on the base specifically because you're a younger black woman and then assume that they're going to come out and vote for you in droves. That's it. That's it. That's the only reason why it's a close race. Donald Trump is an unimaginably bad candidate. He is not a strong candidate. He's a bad candidate. Okay? JD Vance is also not great either. This is why I said she should have been communicating a different message forward for the black voters, brown voters, young voters in general. Okay? But she didn't do that. She didn't do that at all. And these are some of the consequences. If she does not bring the same margins from the Philadelphia Philadelphia base of support, young voters, educated voters, like voters that are going to college, college students. Like if you don't get turnout from your base, you're kind of cooked. It makes things infinitely closer for no reason. And that's where we're at. And I think that's why these polls are showing this insane tie this close out. Anyway, how late will you be planning on streaming the election night? The entire election night. I'm going to be streaming everything. Mersheimer and Jeffrey Sachs both state Trump will be better on Ukraine. You guys were all screaming copium yesterday, but Trump is literally lesser evil voting. Yeah, I don't think that Donald Trump is going to be quote unquote better on Ukraine because America's position on Ukraine is not motivated by like an interest in stopping the violence or whatever, or even defending Ukraine. It's motivated by, as Zelensky correctly pointed to, the Scranton, Pennsylvania artillery shell facility that we created, or numerous other factories that are now manufacturing additional weapons. Okay? This is it. That's what it is. America has ramped up production and manufacturing in an effort to continue doing war. This is very positive for the military industrial complex. It's just not going to happen. You're not like Donald Trump is not going to put an end to that. Okay. Like I think people say that because they also legitimately think that he's like in the pocket of Vladimir Putin and he'll just like carve out parts of Ukraine for Russia and just say, we're not giving any more guns to Ukraine. But the reason why we're giving guns to Ukraine is not because we are interested in Ukrainian emancipation. Sure, I think that we're interested in, having political influence over Ukraine as a way to wither away our foreign adversary in Russia, and as a way to make sure that we have influence over a massive country that's like very close to Russia. Okay, but more importantly than that, real reason is money. And I don't think that Donald Trump in any way, shape, or form is going to make a decision in the opposite direction. Anyway, Miz is here. Okay, here's a tracker of all states with an abortion item on the ballot. My past responses were to you about the stuff you said, lol, if you give a fuck. I'm not on about it. I just don't agree that issues are number one, number two with this community are actually important outside of our bubble. There are leftists and Gaza single issue voters, but they're much smaller percentage than people here think. No, I don't say that. Like when I talk about Gaza, I don't say that like Gaza is a single issue that is going to turn this election. What I say always is that Gaza is important enough. And not only is Gaza important, but Gaza is a gimme. Okay. It's a gimme. It's not only the morally correct position, but it's a fucking gimme. There's no one that is motivated. I'm out. Shut the fuck up, chatters. He's going to stream on his own. I'm letting him stream. He's not going to be a part of my election coverage. You fucking insane. Oh God, he's here. Never mind, he showed up.
Hey, I don't want to share my channel.
What?
Set up.
Yes, there is. Go in there. Yeah. Yeah, March set it up for you. What? No, I don't want you to help. Go do your stream. How long are you going to stream? Okay. I don't care. Have you shown Missy the oh my God, I will vote yet? No. All right, let's continue.
Hi, Chad.
I'm not mad about it, law. I just don't agree that issues number one and number two with this community are actually important outside of our bubble. No, that while there are people in this community that will not be voting for Kamala Harris over this reason, in terms of the way people make this calculation, you're so rude, you're so mean. What are you talking about? I opened up my home and have set up a streaming setup so he can stream. I have time and time again said that it's a gimme in the sense that it would change the calculation. It would change the way that people are responding to her. It would help her. It would help her look stronger on an issue. It would help her literally fucking separate from Joe Biden, and Michigan would not be as close. Okay? There are leftists and Gaza single issue voters, but they're a much smaller percentage than people here think. I do think she should have played the base more, but her strategy, in my opinion, was a good one for a year where fundamentals were anti-D. No. I didn't mean just Gaza. It was bad phrasing. There's a lot of big issues here that are lesser outside of the U.S. I think that her communication on immigration has also been bad, and that is something that I think they recognize as well, which is why in Phoenix, she presented a very different attitude on immigration when talking to a bunch of young Mexican and Latino voters in Phoenix, where she was like, immigration is, we're going to do something about amnesty. Like, she's not the U.S. outside of us in this community. Yeah. She did the we are children of immigrants shit that Democrats remembered for some reason, which is something that I've said before. Like, if you want more support in the Sun Belt, like, you can't have this attitude. Anyway, my point always was, okay, that this race should not be close because of Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is ass. And that much is 100% correct. Donald Trump is an ass candidate, and he doesn't have the juice that he once had. He has no way of like presenting himself as a fucking moderate. Like, he's not doing a good enough job with that. And he's trying to fucking pick apart this incredibly limited base of support that he has. He's trying to pick apart like conspiracy voters. And that is a notoriously unreliable type of voter to try and win over. Okay? They will support you. They'll go out and say they love you, but will they go out and vote? We'll see. Yeah, I'll clap them. Get the fuck away from America. America, stand behind me. I'll protect you. Anyway, let's take a look. Let's do some poll watch and we'll talk about Seltzer.
Rick Klein is here with our latest poll with Ipsos. And this race, Rick, I mean, it is as close as ever.
Yeah, good morning, Janae. Our ABC News Ipsos poll has Kamala Harris just out this morning in 49-46 lead over Donald Trump. That's just a tick tighter than last week when we had the lead at 4 points, but it's all well within the margin of error. And narrowing into the 7 battleground states, guess what? Nothing changes. An identical lead, 49-46 across the 7 battlegrounds. But inside the individual battlegrounds, we still see a little bit of a different story. These are our 538 polling averages. Harris leading in Michigan and Wisconsin, but by less than a percentage point. Right now, trailing narrowly in the polling averages everywhere else, including Arizona. That's 2.5 points. But again, all of this is within any polling margin of error, and there's new polls even out this morning that would suggest a tighter race, even if that's possible here. And there are signs of discontent everywhere, particularly among voters for Donald Trump. But among all voters, 74% say that the country is on the wrong track going into Election Day. That includes half of Harris supporters, and wait for it, 98% of Trump voters say we are on the wrong track as a country. And 60% of voters say they are still dissatisfied with the candidates. And we finally found an area of bipartisan unity. 61% of Harris supporters and 57% of Trump supporters agree that they are dissatisfied with the candidates they are voting.
Damn, dog. I thought people loved Harris's campaigning. I thought that they thought that she was fucking hot shit. That's crazy. I wonder why people are saying that. I wonder how we got here again, dude. How the fuck did that happen? Now listen, and I've repeated this time and time again. She is not Hillary Clinton, okay? She doesn't have the metric ton of dissatisfaction, distaste, anger, resentment, hatred, and conspiracy theories that Hillary Clinton had, which is why it was fucking insane for the Democratic Party to be like, this is the candidate, and you're going to shut the fuck up, and you're going to vote for her. Okay? She didn't have that. She doesn't have that, which is why, this is not the end all be all, okay? It's not the worst thing. She, however, is not a very good campaigner. She's just not. She's not very, doesn't have a lot of riz. She's black. America's racist. Oh, no, for sure. That definitely plays a role. America's also sexist too. But guess what? What do I always tell incels? Okay? You don't look at the situation. You don't look at a situation that's like built against you and turn around and say, well, any guy can be 7. I do say that. You got to play to your advantages, and you got to overcome your disadvantages, That's it. I would never be like, oh, this person is a black woman, so she shouldn't run for president, especially if they have dope policies. You know what I mean? It don't matter. Like what? You think she didn't realize that America was racist and that she was a black woman running in a racist country? No, of course she knows that. What the fuck? That's precisely the reason why she didn't do the I'm with her style bullshit in the way that Hillary Clinton did. Okay? I don't think the race is going to be close. I don't understand why they don't factor in the Supreme Court and Congress when they talk about the country being on the wrong track. No. Country being on the wrong track is an understandable predicament, understandable position for people to take. I mean, do you think the country's on the right track? I don't. I don't think the country's on the right track. I get it. I get why people say that, because it's not on the right track. The wheels have fallen off this bitch.
Voting on this week.
Wow. And Rick, as for the battleground states, what are the candidates eyeing?
You consistently said that Hillary ran a bullshit campaign. What was it about her that made you a supporter of her back in the day? What do you mean? I was incredibly critical of Hillary Clinton and talked about how dog shit she was. But I also understood what it would look like for Donald Trump to be president, and I was right. And that's why I was like, yeah, no, you can't, I like that you said a major supporter of Hillary Clinton. I was like, no, this is unacceptable. You cannot have Donald Trump become president. That is devastating. That is devastating for the country's future. And I was right. Okay.
As their likeliest paths to victory at this point.
Yeah, and you heard Selena lay it out a little bit, but if the polls lined up exactly where things are in the Electoral College, if the polls are right, which is a big if, you'd have Donald Trump winning right now. 287 electoral votes, that's more than 270. But the polls, of course, are often off a little bit. So here's the scenario that Selena was talking about, the blue wall. Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, if they all go for Kamala Harris, that is 270 electoral votes exactly. That means the presidency for her. For Donald Trump, a couple of different paths, but the likeliest, let's say he carries Nevada and Arizona, where he's been leading in the polling averages, Georgia and North Carolina in the South, historically more Republican. He just needs one more state, and it could be any of the big 3. Pennsylvania, the likeliest and the biggest prize. That is the biggest battleground, and it is close to a must-win as we see for both candidates. There's agreement on that this year as well.
And Rick, we were talking about this behind the scenes this morning, that poll out of Iowa that now shows Harris leapfrogging, leading Trump. 3%. What can we? So
this is because Seltzer is like a very reputable pollster. People were looking at Iowa being deep red, normally. People were looking at this poll and being like, oh, it'll be like +5. If it's like +5 Trump, that is good for Kamala, right? That means that there is a lot of still like resentment for Donald Trump from the base. Maybe some people are not going to go out and vote. And people were looking to extract some kind of data from this that would be helpful for a like national snapshot of what the broader electorate looks like. So for this poll to just fucking come out +3 for Kamala Harris, okay, it was nutty. Guy for interpreting the Iowa Seltzer poll, Trump +0 to 5, great sign for Harris. Trump 6 to 7, solid result for Harris. Trump 8 to 9 plus 8 to 9, neutral. Mirrors close Rust Belt polling. Trump plus 10, not good for Harris. Anything more than 12 and is Jover. This is before the poll came out. Like that's what the analysis was, because like Iowa is like supposed to be super red. Maybe not super red, but like red enough. Iowa allowing huge innovations in fuck ass map science. Caitlin Clark is Iowa's GOAT. Huge asterisk, +3 within the margin of error. So it was better to call this a dead even poll than Harris ahead by 3. It doesn't matter. The point is, this is unexpected. This doesn't mean that like Texas is gonna fucking turn blue or whatever. Okay? This doesn't mean that at all. What this simply says is that Trump's base in like deep red places, at least like in the middle of the country, kind of withering away a little bit in comparison to like places like Florida where he's obviously cooking. Okay? Like, I don't think Kansas is going to fucking turn blue. Like, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm simply saying that things are not looking good in Trump world. And you can tell that things are not looking good in Trump world because they're freaking the fuck out over this. And early voting data showing like a lot of women coming out and voting also does not look good for the Trump world, because the Trump world keeps complaining about how men need to go out and vote. Please go out and vote. If you don't vote, you're gay. Like, I have a voters in 2024 for some reason.
Black woman is speaking. Listen and learn. Listen and learn.
Anyway, do you think the other big pollsters are just hurting with the conservative Harris lead? I mean, that's the assumption right now. I mean, that's like, and pollsters have said as much. Like they do have a Trump bump that they baked in because they don't want to fuck it up. I'm really glad it's close, and they keep saying it's tied. It will get more people to vote. Remember in 2016, they said Hillary had a 90% chance to win, and I think it hurt her chances. A lot of people just decided not to vote. Yeah, there were a lot of issues there. I think the lack of motivation to go out and vote wasn't because Hillary's definitely going to win. I think it was also despising her and despising Donald Trump too, but definitely despising her. My favorite Iowa meme, Pennsylvania. We're the nation's closest swing state. We don't like Trump, but Kamala hates fracking. This is so difficult. Iowa. Just, these memes are so stupid. Let's continue.
Glean from that.
Yeah, well, just for starters, remember where Iowa landed last time. That was not particularly close, about an 8 or 9 point win for Donald Trump. And it's possible that this poll is on to something powerful. It could be an outlier, it could be off. But if it's right, not just about Iowa, but about some other upper Midwestern states like Wisconsin and Michigan, if we start to see women break more heavily toward Kamala Harris, that might change the landscape on election night. We'll have to wait and see, Janae.
Very interesting. Rick, thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh, man, libs are libbing the fuck up. You can tell the right wing doesn't think they're doing well. Your boy Alex Jones is back. Yeah, that's, dude.
You know.
Oh my God, he looks extra red. He kind of looks better now than he ever has, but also in this video, he looks super red. Other key findings in the Iowa poll: independent women back Harris by a 28-point margin. Senior women support her by more than a 2-to-1 margin, 63% to 28%. 97% of them support Harris, while only 89% of Republicans support Trump. I love old people now. Nah. Iowa had abortion protected by state courts. Then just days before Dobbs, the Iowa State Supreme Court struck that right down. The GOP passed a 6-week abortion ban. It was upheld by the state Supreme Court this summer. This is the first election since that ruling. And here's what I think is being slept on this fall. There's a state Supreme Court justice in Iowa who's on the ballot in Tuesday. He sided with the majority in his 4-3 upholding of the abortion ban this summer. As a reminder, there are also state justices who upheld the abortion bans this year on the ballot in Florida and Arizona. In Arizona, the GOP has put a constitutional amendment on the ballot that would nullify those elections. If Kamala wins, white women vote, it is an abortion. She should think it's Taylor Swift. No, dude. 80-year-old women are not voting for Kamala Harris because of fucking Taylor Swift. They're not playing in their abortion ads.
Dr. Davis, what do I do?
John, she needs an abortion, or she's going to die from the pregnancy.
Sorry, that's not happening. What are you doing? Who are you?
I'm your Republican congressman. Now that we're in charge, we banned abortion. No exceptions.
You can't do this. She's dying.
I won the last election.
Okay, this is crazy because it's like this is kind of funny, but it's a real thing that's happening. So it's kind of fucked up to make this. It's kind of fucked up to make it in this way where it almost feels like comical. Like, this is not hyperbole. This is not the A24 style horror film horror flick that we saw with the other like cop pulling a young lady over with her dad when they're crossing the state border.
So it's my decision. But don't worry, you can still have children, just not with her.
Have you seen the thing with Turkey? No.
Versprechen Ihnen, dass wir die Kommunisten, Marxisten.
Jesus Christ. Okay, hold on. Wait, are you guys getting let me make sure that we have the content, sensitive content warning up or not? Do you guys have it? You see it? The tag is up? Okay, just want to make sure that the sensitivity tag is on. Okay, good. Yeah, can someone tell me where to read about what the +3 for Harris means? Just trying to figure this out for myself. Chatter is looking for the truth. He's like, this fuck ass Hassan bullshit. Get him out of here. Like my entire coverage has been afforded to just like explaining to you exactly what that means. And he's like, I don't really care about this. I don't really care what you have to say. I like it though. It's good. Seek it out on your own. Yeah, they're poisoning the blood of this country is like a direct verbatim Hitler bar. So that was pretty crazy. That was pretty fucking crazy. I mean, I think they're just saying Donald Trump's this is a Trump speech just in German, but the enemy from within, poisoning the blood of this nation, like America for Americans, those are all direct, verbatim, not paraphrase, Hitler bars. Okay? Straight up. When people go, oh, dude, you're being hyperbolic. Like, no, that's just straightforward Nazi shit. Okay?
Ich bin eure Vergeltung. Ich möchte nur einen Tag lang Diktator sein.
Fuck you, Hassan. I'm a canvasser in North Carolina. Have you gotten, oh my God, I will vote for Donald Trump stuck in my head and I've been singing it on the field. If North Carolina goes red, it's your fault. North Carolina +10 red. I made every North Carolina canvasser have the fucking song stuck in their goddamn heads. It's not my fault. It's a banger, dude. What do you mean? What the fuck do you mean, dude? You can't be getting mad at me for that.
Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote for Donald Trump. Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote. I will vote for Donald Trump.
We don't do ad breaks anymore. We just do I will vote for Donald Trump breaks where I tell you to subscribe for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime. You know what I mean? Or you can get gifted a sub as well. That way you can send me links and I will keep playing this banger. You can send me this link as a banger to play. What is this? It's over.
The people go out to vote, no fear, no more. Vote for Trump. Let's go. Vote for Trump.
Fucking good, dude. Benign Burger, D Machine, thank you for the 5 gifted. Benign Burger, thank you for the 20 gifted subs. Calm Like a Tom, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Oh, God. Oh, no. They were expecting thousands of people at the JD Vance rally with Don Jr. in Pennsylvania. Only tens of people showed up. Oh, no. Oh, no. Socialist Thug Jane, thank you for the 5 gifted. Not a good sign. Oh, my God. I will vote. I will vote for Donald Trump. Thing is, Nazis committed genocide. It is kind of extreme to link a person with those guys just because your ideas are nationalist, don't you think? Brother, I hate this argument so much. I hate it so much. You're literally saying there is no reason to learn about history in order not to repeat the mistakes of the past, okay? Someone does not have to have a goofy ass mustache and you can present the situation like as the final solution being activated for you to be like, okay, now he's Hitler. Like, what do you mean? I hate this fucking dumbass argument, dude. You think they still weren't Nazis before they killed 6 million Jews? Like, how do you think we got there? Why do you think there is like laws and guidelines surrounding what constitutes a genocide that Israel is violating on a regular basis? But that's besides the point. The entire goal is to stop it from happening before it actually gets to that point. You know? all you're saying to me in this circumstance, okay? All you're saying to me in this circumstance is like, you're basically saying, let Trump mass deport and maybe execute a couple million migrants first before you can correctly call him a Nazi or Adolf Hitler. And like, how many millions does he have to kill before you decide, okay, he is Adolf Hitler? Okay? Because, you know, not only is he quoting Hitler, but his policies are also one-to-one directly Adolf Hitler. Okay? It's not like Adolf Hitler originally started with like, we're going to kill every Jewish person. You know, he definitely wanted that for sure. But the original goals of the Nazi government was to do mass deportations as well. Okay? Like, you don't arrive at let's execute every single migrant before you arrive at they're dehumanized, they're not real humans, they're eating cats and dogs, they're doing barbaric, horrifying rapes. Okay? You kind of have to get there. You kind of have to gear the crowd up to be open to the mass execution policies. There's a reason why it's called the final solution and not the first solution. Okay? This kind of stuff is just like very, very stupid. It's just like anti-intellectual in terms of conducting yourself, in terms of like launching an argument. And it's especially funny because like I made these arguments in 2016 about Donald Trump because I thought that there was enough there in terms of his dehumanizing rhetoric towards migrants in 2016. And he has only increased the pressure, and he has only quoted Adolf Hitler more. Chatters are still going, I don't know. Radical police, radical, wee woo, you're being too radical for Twitch, informed Dan Clancy. Yeah. This interview with of a German Post, World War II hits your point exactly how violence is ratcheted and normalized. From Milton Mayer, what no one seemed to notice at a colleague of mine, philologist, was the ever-widening gap after 1933 between the government and the people. Just think how very wide this gap was to begin with here in Germany, and it became always wider. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make people close to their government to be told that this is a people's government, a true democracy, or to be enrolled in civilian defense, or even to vote. All this has really nothing to do with knowing one is governing. What happened here was the gradual habituation of the people, little by little, to being governed by surprise, to receiving decisions deliberated in secret, to believing that the situation was so complicated that the government had to act on information which the people could not understand, or so dangerous that even if the people could not understand it, it could not be released because of national security. And in their sense of identification with Hitler, their trust in him made it easier to widen this gap and reassured those who would otherwise have worried about it. The separation of government from the people, this widening of the gap, took place so gradually and so insensibly, each step disguised, perhaps not even intentionally, as a temporary emergency measure. I mean, this is like post 9/11 America and the normalization of like American war, no matter how bloody or how deadly. There's a direct comparison here with Israel as well and what Israel is doing currently. There's a direct comparison with like post 9/11 America and America's like attitude change. But yeah, in terms of like the way that Donald Trump talks about immigrants and how he lies about immigrants without any sort of pushback whatsoever, you know, it's legitimately terrifying. And there are still chatters in here being like, I don't know, man, you can't really call him a Nazi. Like, yeah, you can. And you should, because it's correct.
Coin Register is out with a brand new poll conducted by J.N. Selzer's firm. This, as you know, is the gold standard of polling in Iowa, and it shows Vice President Harris with a 3-point lead over Donald Trump in that state. Harris has the support of 47% of likely voters to Trump's 44%. That result within the margin of error.
A gulf had opened up between the Jewish minority and the general population. The latter, while not mobilized around strident and violent anti-Semitism, was increasingly apathetic, passive, and indifferent to the fate of the former. Origins of the final solution. Yeah. Slowly but surely, you increase the pressure that you and you consistently dehumanize the outgroup over and over again, and people just kind of turn a blind eye. This is why I am genuinely terrified about the liberal rhetoric surrounding the issue of immigration. With no counterbalance, with no pushback whatsoever. What about the squirrels, though? What squirrels, man? Shut the fuck up. Oh my God. Why are people so goddamn annoying? What is that? The fucking one squirrel that was euthanized or some shit? I know, it's fucked up, okay? Shut up. Yeah, they killed the squirrel. I know, it's really fucked up. I agree, but like, time and place, dude. Fuck me, Jesus Christ. Oh my God, some of you are literally the Hawk Tua understanders in the chat. How is it any different than that shit? It's just like literally another one of those things that like coworkers love and talk about endlessly and relentlessly, and fucking chatters are badgering me with it. It's viral on the conservative side of Twitter and has not broke through to the liberal side. Nobody cares. I just like don't understand why we're having this conversation right now.
Joining us now, pollster Jan Selzer.
Coworker ass chatters in the fucking chat. Jesus Christ.
All right, Jan, obviously you are bringing, we're coming on air right now with this polling, and I mean, we could just put it up on the screen for folks, because I didn't have this on my bingo card, as I like to say. Vice President Kamala Harris, 47%, Donald Trump, 44%. Take us inside your poll. What is new here? We know that there's a majority of Iowa men in this poll that say they prefer Trump. A majority of women prefer Harris. Among likely Iowa voters, this seems like something is happening.
It does seem like something's happening. Now, we've been living with the numbers day by day as we've been gathering the data. So we've had a little bit of time to get over the initial shock. You know, Iowa is a very Republican state. There's only one person at statewide office or federal office who is a Democrat. So to have the presidential candidate lead by a substantive margin was shocking to begin with. One of the reasons she is leading is because of her strength with women generally, even stronger with women age 65 and over. Her margin is more than 2 to 1. And this is an age group that shows up to vote or votes early in disproportionately large numbers. So it's a little bit of the boost that Kamala Harris has gotten this time.
You know, for me, this is very telling of a lot of the effort and the importance of a little thing called ground game. And when a campaign...
Okay, why are you talking about Iowa? What kind of... I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm wrong on this, but what kind of fucking ground game does Iowa have for the Democratic Party? Is there like a tremendous amount of work and tremendous amount of effort being placed? Maybe tomorrow and today, but like, what is the Democratic Party's ground game in Iowa? I'm sure they're pumping a shit ton. You're wrong. I'm sure they're pumping a shit ton of ads. They have a lot of money, dude. The Democrats have a lot of fucking money. The leftover Obama squad put in the BAM bag together. Local Iowa Dems have been working hard, to be honest. Well, they have infrastructure there because of the Iowa caucus. Surely there's lots of volunteers there. What is this? Ohio Sheriff's Lieutenant in hot water as a social post. I'm sorry. If you support the Democratic Party, I will not help you. And the problem is that I know which of you supports the Democratic Party, and I will not help you survive in the end days. That's awesome. That's so fucking funny. Dude, these people are so... God, I love hogs so much. Why do I love hogs so much? Oh my God. Oh my God, I love my fucking hogs. Oh, wonderful. Fantastic. Yeah. Did you see Trump coping about Iowa? Yeah. Yeah. I know. We're going to get there. Hold on.
Coming in with 107 days to make the case to communities across the country. And we know the importance of communities like ours. Iowa is a bellwether, particularly as you get closer to the election, as it is in the beginning, right? So here we are at the end. What's your take on that aspect of this, that the numbers have changed so dramatically from the 18 points that Donald Trump had to now Kamala Harris over Joe Biden, 18 points, to now having Kamala Harris up by 3?
It's, you know, clearly there's something going on here if our poll numbers are correct. And it's the same method that I've used really since I started polling. So we have a good accuracy rate. We're comfortable with what it is that we do, which is to allow our data to reveal to us what's happening with the future electorate. So that may be the little lucky charm here, is that we're able to uncover the change that's happening on the ground. We certainly know anecdotally, as you drive around the metro area you see far more, I guess I'd say far fewer Trump signs than we've seen in past cycles. But, it's hard to put too much faith in that. So now we have some hard numbers. We'll see. I will just mention that neither of these candidates gets to 50%. So there still is some swing left to be determined on election night.
It has been fun to watch all of the folks who follow polls on Twitter try to decide what your poll means for other states. And so I wonder, when you look at white voters specifically, if you think there is something in your poll that you can extrapolate out to Michigan, to Wisconsin, to Pennsylvania.
As your graphics are showing, there is clearly a gender gap there. Iowa is predominantly white, so there's not much analysis we can do on the non-white vote. But I think what it does say is that polls that are deciding they know what the future electorate looks like may be basing it on past electorates. And in some cases, that would give Harris an advantage, and in some states, that would give Kamala Harris an advantage, or some would give Donald Trump the advantage. So we'll see how that plays out. I just feel like these numbers represent, our last poll in September had Trump leading by just a 4-point margin, when Joe Biden back in June had lost by an 18-point margin. So we're certainly seeing an upward, almost linear shift in the Democratic strength in Iowa.
I just want to note that the only Democrat elected statewide in Iowa, Rob Sand, when your poll came out, he texted me, and Rob has been saying for a very long time, he is the state auditor, that there have been many close losses in Iowa, and Iowa is in fact a place that's in play for Democrats. And this poll to me indicates perhaps Rob Sand is right, by putting in the work, infrastructure, as Chairman Steele just noted. Have Democrats made Iowa more competitive because of their presence there, and also the issue of reproductive rights?
21% shift because of abortion seems a bit much, though. Only way to analyze this is, one, the women voters, older voters in general, and also the fact that, like, Trump might be depressing Iowa voters with his rhetoric in general. But abortion is pretty consequential. And Donald Trump is running a dog shit campaign. The Democratic Party really hasn't done shit here, and honestly, the state party hasn't done much shit either. More the local county party apparatuses. We hate our governor, so we've been trying to flip our local Congress. That possibly trickled up to the top of the ticket. Source, Iowan.
Because that was something that bubbled up on the ground throughout the state, namely led by the governor herself.
Right. Well, I would mention that Rob Sand is that one Democrat elected statewide. So he's got his finger on the pulse of what's happening in the Democratic Party. As we were trying to determine, this is a very short poll because there's no time left to write lengthy stories with lots of data in them. So we don't have as much data as we might like about why this is happening. But
farmers fucking hate Trump. He actually ruined their lives for years. I've heard this a lot, but like, if that was the case, then Donald Trump wouldn't have gotten 53% of the vote in Iowa to Joe Biden's 44%, 45% of the vote. You know what I mean? Like in 2020, Donald Trump still won Iowa convincingly, right? So I have heard this argument. That tariffs weren't popular for the farmers. But you also have to remember, like, there aren't that many of them. That's number one. And like, it demonstrably did not move the results. And you also have to remember, a lot of these rural voters are not fucking farmers. Okay. They just LARP as farmers, but they're not. Yeah. Hold on. Let's just finish this, and then I'll get to like the way that Trump is behaving and why I think it's like hurting him. Okay. Because Donald Trump is also going kind of crazy. He's going nutty mode, and it's not good. It's not looking too good for him in Trump world. Trump world is coping pretty fucking hard on this shit. And yeah, we'll do hogwash later as well. Okay. Let's continue.
Census
I
from
gotta
the
pee.
reporters who work this beat
I haven't done
is that
SNL
the
yet.
6-month abortion ban went into effect just this past summer. And so I think as Iowans are starting to see the consequences of that, I think it has gotten people interested in voting. The thing we noticed in our September poll that shrunk Trump's lead by 14 percentage points, he lost no actual ground. He had as many respondents supporting him in September as he had in June, but the size of the likely voter pool had increased, and most of that 85 respondents went to Kamala Harris.
So Jan, let's talk about sort of the why, because that's the world I like to live in as a former party official. Is okay, why are voters doing what they're doing? Organization, as we just talked about, you and Simone, you know, that sort of planning that is all good and smart. It's all critically important. But the why narrative tells us a lot of the inside thoughts of the voters. And there are two aspects of the messaging here that feeds into the why. For the Trump people, the narrative that they tried to get up and out in front of voters was, are you better off, right, than you were 4 years ago? For the Harris campaign, it was a different kind of approach. It was, okay, I want you to size the two of us up. And you tell me which one you think is going to be better suited to take care of the nation's interests over their own. And I'm curious as you look at them, I'm sure you're going to peel back on these numbers a little bit more, but do you get a sense of the why in that space that the voters looked at the messaging here as a way to sort of the carrot that led them to where we are right now?
Well, I think that question about are you better off, that people tend to think, well, that's your pocketbook. There are other ways that people are not better off. And again, I go back to the Dobbs decision and the 6-week abortion ban, which put women of childbearing age into a danger zone. Some might feel it's that way. The thing I need to point out, and it was pointed out to me by one of the Register reporters, is that change, I think, is largely organic. That is, the presidential campaigns haven't visited. They're not putting money into this state. So that it's not that this is something that has been created by the campaigns themselves. Iowa, I think, was largely written off, which is why this poll is such a surprise. So I think there's something more organic that people are deciding for themselves. This is the time I'm going to get off the bench. I'm going to show up, and that it appears from my data.
My boyfriend is a registered Republican, and he has stupid head-ass Trump stickers on his car. He said to me today, don't worry, he's not going to win. Damn. Another truth nuke. Another truth bomb coming in hot. Trump supporters are depressed. She's saying what you said 5 minutes ago, lol. Yeah, because, I mean, she's a pollster, and I understand what the fuck she's talking about. I already gave you the analysis as to why these people are these people are fucking popping off.
That is happening more on the people deciding to vote for Kamala Harris, the
Stop
Democratic
jacking
candidate.
yourself off. What do you mean?
As a former pre-med student at Johns Hopkins University, I appreciate organic chemistry. Jay Ann Seltzer, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Turning now to our brand new NBC News poll, national political.
How did no one see this or predict this before? I think that there are a lot of people who don't want to fuck up as they have done. There is a crisis in consistently underestimating Trump's chances because of his capacity to hit low propensity voters and drive them out to vote. Okay? Having said that, however, I have kept telling you over and over again for the past couple of months that, like, while Kamala Harris is running objectively a bad campaign, are why gonna talk about Ethan Love You? Chatter, it is November 3rd. I cannot begin to explain to you what is about to happen in the next 2 days. I am a political commentator. I think we're going to keep talking about the election. Please take a deep breath. Okay? Serious question. Do you think it's also media cherry picking to increase viewership and fearmonger? No.
Correspondent Steve Kornacki is here to walk us through all of the numbers. Steve, this is the moment we have been waiting for. What does this poll show us?
Yeah, I mean, fittingly, isn't it? At the very end, we find a tie nationally. 49% for Harris, 49% for Trump. Really, that's what we found when we last polled this a couple weeks ago. We go under the hood here and look at some of the other numbers there. There's this question of enthusiasm. A couple notable things here. This is the share of voters who are calling themselves very interested.
Do you like the cultivation of your current community when it comes to politics? Yes, I do. I love my community, and I love the community that I've cultivated. I think it's wonderful, and it basically keeps me alive, okay?
Interested in this election. You can see it stands at 77%, which is down from 2020 when we had that historic turnout. Also, interestingly here,
I don't think that these guys are keeping it 50-50 for some secret, like, material interest to keep the eyeballs on the election, or because they think that they want to, like, draw turnout. I think they are polling people, and they're adjusting the polls with a Trump bump because of previous polls always consistently underestimating Trump because of his likelihood of, because of the ways in which Donald Trump brings low propensity voters to come out and vote for him. That's it. And I've been saying this already. I think that the reason why they're doing this is because they have underestimated Trump too many times, and they don't want to underestimate him again. So they're trying to do their very best. They don't want to look like they got owned.
The interest is lower among Hispanic voters and black voters. Typically, you would say that is bad news for Democrats. But this year, keep in mind, among black voters, that could be very troubling for the Democrats. But among Hispanic voters, the Trump folks are hoping for big strides. They've been seeing that in the polls. If that does not translate into Election Day votes, that could be trouble for them. Then we come to the issues that voters say that matter most to them.
Polling is not cheap, but I don't think this comes at the expense of journalism. I think the way that the Times uses polling to drive subscription and grow audience pays for the journalism, not the other way around. I would, however, like to have a better idea of who's going to win. News orgs pour tons of resources into polling at the expense of covering real issues, only to say 2 days before the election, we really have no idea if we're right or wrong. A final point that I hope is obvious from the whole of my work, but may not be obvious if you only read individual snippets. I have no idea whether our polls or any polls might be right. Polls be right, too good for Harris or too good for Trump. No one does. This cycle, I've tried to offer real meat to these scenarios with evidence, not just abstract 30% Harris landslide, 30% Trump landslide, 40% too close. If you personally found some of that evidence more convincing than others, that's great. Me, I have no idea. This is why I'm Mr. fucking vibes-based analysis post polls, okay? That's it. Because even like the top pollsters, like Nate Cohn is the poll guy for the New York Times. Dave Wasserman, poll guy. Even the fucking top pollsters or the top analysts for polls is turning around and saying, like, I really don't know what the fuck's happening here. To be fair, I've always sprinkled vibes-based analysis on top of the polls. I cannot express how insane it is that Trump does good numbers with Hispanic voters. It makes sense. New from the Election Center, a very clear picture. What? It's a joke, dude. Quick summation of some of the points. There is no reason to believe pollsters fix what went wrong in 2020. There is some evidence. Non-response bias may be better, but also evidence is still there / no reason to assume it's gone. Unknown whether waiting fixes. Many pollsters, not us, have adopted heavy-handed practices that yield more Republican-leaning samples out of potentially, but not necessarily justify fear of systematically failing to reach Trump voters again. This is what I've been saying, okay? A lot of pollsters underestimated bigly Donald Trump in 2016. They still underestimated him in 2020. Okay, Donald Trump still outperformed the polls in 2020. The difference is Joe Biden won, just not by the margins that polls were showing him winning by. And that is precisely the reason why pollsters were like, well, you know, Trump is Mr. Turnout in the general especially, so we got to do something about it. And I think that the reason why the 2022 midterm polls were a lot closer wasn't necessarily because they had pollsters had overcorrected or had figured it out. The reason why 2022 polls were a lot closer within striking distance than like 2020 was because midterms have high propensity voter turnout. Okay? Those guys are easier to predict. Those guys are easier to analyze. This is why This is why I think that the midterm election polls were a lot closer to what ended up happening, whereas general election turnout is very different. Okay? That's it. That's the way I see it. And in order to, in my opinion, in order to make sure that they don't fuck up again in like, or even be closer to the margins of the end results, then even in 2020, they're overcorrecting with like at least a 2-point bump for Trump. And considering how close of a race this is, that obviously matters a lot. What the fuck? Atlas Intel Wisconsin poll, Trump picking up 65% of black voters. 65% of black voters. Look, Wisconsin is a weird state because it's like super rural. And that's why I've said out of like the blue wall, despite what the polls say, that's the one area that is the one fucking state that is like, I think, trickier for the Democratic Party than the rest of the blue wall. Okay. That is an insane statement. There's 8 black people total in Wisconsin. It doesn't matter, dude. That's like 65% of the black voters, not just black men, 65% of all black voters. That is not, just specifically avoiding Milwaukee. Yeah. I'm from Wisconsin. I just don't believe that. Yeah, no, it's an insane. It also is weird because like 65% of black voters, only 24% of Hispanic voters is also crazy. And the Asian voters are split 50-50. Like, what the fuck is going on in this poll, man? This is nutty. Misogyny voting for Trump is nasty work. No, this is not real, dude. What the fuck? Dude. There is not okay, remember what I told you guys about how there is not a single state in the United States of America, the continental United States, that is majority in favor of heavy restrictions on abortion, okay? I stand on that. I'll stand on that even if I don't see a fucking poll. And I was correct. I was right when it came to Alabama, even though I hadn't seen a recent poll in Alabama, right? Remember that? This is another thing that I will tell you right now. Okay, I have not seen any polls. I have not seen a single fucking poll on the Wisconsin black population. Okay, and I can assure you that there is not a single fucking, like, I mean, this is crosstabs anyway. And it just is, this is just an unreliable ass poll overall, because I can tell you with a 100% certainty that there is not a single state where the majority of the black population, which also includes black women, okay, higher likelihood of voting and will vote by 80 to 90% for Kamala Harris. Like, the fact that black women and black men both are going to majority vote for Republicans is the most insane scenario, okay? That is less likely than Texas and Florida flipping blue. Okay? Stop sending me the fucking 2014 religious landscape study. You're so... 2014 religious landscape study conducted is not an accurate reflection of how people view Roe v. Wade, especially post Roe v. Wade's abolition. Please stop sending me the same fucking poll! Ah! You guys hear me say something, turn around and Google something else. You guys literally put the keywords of what you have heard me say into the Google machine, and then you come back with the first result without looking at what's up.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah, we got a problem.
What is it?
I can't even watch NMP clips, so I can't find out if he's dating Nora or Kachi.
Hold on, here, just speak into this microphone so people can hear you. What?
I try and watch.
There's no, oh, it was muted. Oops, say it now. Say it again.
Okay, so I'm live.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's it.
Are you just trying to farm people that are 2 days out from the election to come and watch drama clips?
Well, what would they rather watch? Drama clips or drama clips about the president?
Drama clips about the president.
But NMP might be dating Kachi.
Okay.
You don't think that's important? What I was gonna say to you is the internet is lagging.
Wait, really?
I try to watch like.
I'm gonna give you. I'll give you March's. I'll give you March's phone number, and you can text him, and he can come and help you potentially. He said he would be down to do that, but I'm surprised that it's lagging.
Did your internet lag ever?
No, but I think it's because I'm Ethernet cable connected. You might be streaming off of Wi-Fi.
You did this on purpose.
That might be the reason.
You did this on purpose.
Yeah, totally. I wanted to cook you.
Well, if you wanted me to help with the election, you just had to ask. We could do stream together.
Okay, I'm sending it to you. I sent him his his number to you.
Okay.
Text him, and he'll try and help.
Chat, I will say this though. Hassan a few years ago was not the best host. Because you were always on your phone, but you told me you deleted Twitter, and off stream, Hassan was actually very fun to hang out with. And positive.
Yeah. I'm in a much better mental space for sure
Bought me
nowadays.
food, we hung out.
Dude, how good was that fucking curry?
It was the best curry I ever had in my life.
Yeah.
Like on stream, he's a very negative man, but off stream, he was just extremely nice and positive.
Yeah. In spite of everything else that's going on.
Okay.
All right.
Now show me the NMP clip that you showed him
What is
last
the
time.
NMP clip?
I don't know. What was the one that you showed him?
I don't know.
The one that got him on the news.
The Houthi clip. No, I can't show that, dude. What do you mean? I got a warning for showing that.
You did?
Yeah, which is crazy because like it's allowed everywhere. Twitch's standards for moderation are so much higher than every other website, which is why it's like really funny when people are like Twitch is anti-Semitic or whatever the fuck. Like they're so stupid for saying that shit because Twitch literally has a more rigid standard. Twitch literally has a more rigid standard for like what is allowed on the platform than any other website. And normally that shouldn't even get you banned. Like that video, showing that video should not get you banned. It doesn't get you banned on YouTube. It doesn't get you banned on Twitter. It's literally on every other website. But in this circumstance, it's like, it's Twitch's hyper rigid rules.
So yeah, he was really fun to hang out with off stream chat. He got me chicken, like really nice guy, and very sweet. That's all I wanted to say.
All right. Thank you. Well, we're gonna get back to poll watch. It was really funny when they unbanned Fresh and Fit for like a week, and all the YouTube creators were calling Twitch racist, while Fresh and Fit is not banned on YouTube. Lamont. Exactly.
Really fun off stream. Got me chicken. Great guy.
All right, bro. You're gonna scratch the fucking ground.
Great.
He's trying to clip farm. I can't wait for this to be on LSF again. Yeah, I already muted you. Get the fuck out. Go back to your stream. What are you doing? You just left this goddamn stream open. Gave Miz the PC that doesn't have Windows activated. It's not my fault. It's the one PC that we have that's like working right now in the house. They've also pretty much made all LGBT streamers segregated into the politics category. Yeah. Well, no, they're just saying like, don't you dare talk about that gay shit. Okay? If you want to talk about that gay shit, you're going to get a content warning. They're doing don't ask, don't tell. Twitch's policies are blast from the past where they're like, hey, content warning, don't say gay. Wait, so you even have a secondary stream set up for your streamer friends? It's kind of awesome. Yeah. Yeah. If you're gay, if you're queer, your existence is not political unless you start talking about it. Okay? Unless you start talking about that gay shit, in which case, don't do it because you will get content warning. What is this? The garbage truck bit only hurt Trump more with Puerto Rican voters. Oh my God. Oh, Owen Jones went to a fucking Wisconsin. Oh, hell yeah. Putting British people in hogland is always my favorite type of content. I'm always in favor of that. We should torture British people more like this, okay? This is my favorite when they bring out the Guardian guy once every 4 years. Always funny until it happens to you. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's my special interest. Hogwatch is my special interest, but I especially love when Hogwatch is being conducted by like a British person who turns around and has to like speak to the hogs directly. It's the best. Because even if you straight up are a British hog, you still are not as hogged up as an American hog. I know this is cringe, but you can't do cross-tab diving unless the group you're looking at has what is called an oversample. Otherwise, the number of people surveyed is too small to be statistically representative. However, an odd result in the cross-tabs doesn't discount the overall sample. Makes sense.
And how they rate the candidates. And I think, again, notably, Harris continues to do best on abortion, 20-point advantage there. Trump continues to do best on inflation, cost of living, an advantage there of 12.
This is something to watch on Election Day because, of course, she's actually doing better on abortion than Trump is doing on inflation and cost of living. We'll have to see how that pans out with the voters.
Absolutely. And we can continue and take a look here. This other issue, we talked about it in our last poll, too, the dueling approval ratings. This is sort of an albatross for Harris here. Her administration that she's a part of, Joe Biden's approval rating sits at just 41%. And then there's this twist. Donald Trump, retrospectively, do you now approve of how he did as president? In our poll, 48%, almost half, give him that approval rating.
And we have to pause again because 48% is higher than the approval ratings he was getting when he was president, Steve. Really striking to see that.
Exactly. So is that a hidden advantage there for Trump in some way? Then there's this question, too. We just hear all the stories, all the images from early voting. And look at this. 2/3 of voters in our poll say they've either voted already or they're going to vote early. On Election Day, 1/3 of the electorate actually saying they will turn out and vote then. And you can see, we saw a bit of this in 2020, remember, the early vote here, more Harris friendly in our poll. That Election Day vote, that's the big wild card. You don't know what that turnout will look like on Election Day. But if Trump has an advantage there, see if it's enough to overcome what he could potentially lose in the early side. And then the gender gap. Again, we've talked about this throughout the campaign. We've talked about this for decades. Trump up 18 with men, Harris 16 with women. That is a 34-point gender gap by about 10 points. If this happens, this would be the biggest gender gap ever recorded.
Stunning. And his lead with men bigger than her lead with women.
It's an interesting turnabout from I think what we've seen in the past in some cases here. And then you could just take a look here. These are the battleground states. We got some new polls this morning. And I mean,
Steve Kornacki's doing gender. They got him. He's woke now. Do you have anything big planned for Election Day? Yes, Josh, Edinger Mentum is going to be wearing his best khakis and will have a board behind him to do his best Steve Kornacki impression. I will say, especially with the Seltzer polls, like the number one pollster for the Majority Report, Chapo, and the Hasanabi broadcast is looking pretty fucking fresh in comparison to everyone else. Now we'll see. We'll see on Election Day. He's either going to win big and become a legend, or he is going to have egg on his face. He's not going to be here. He's not going to be here personally. He's going to be tuning in from Discord. What crossover ep DSA LA? Why did you film it like this? Like, oh my God, DSA LA, you fucking boomers. Jesus Christ. Why is there Vaseline over the camera?
Yeah, what can you say? These are the averages. And look, the most lopsided, quote unquote, 1.9 points for Trump in Arizona. So razor thin in the battlegrounds.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking.
This is funny. I kind of want to watch this.
When was the insurrection?
House divided. My parents split. My parents and I are split between Trump and Harris. Will you be bringing the gay on Tuesday? Yes, I think so. I just texted him. I forgot to ask him ahead of time because I always just assume that he would be here. Luckily, we already have a content warning in terms of like talking about politics. So him bringing up gay shit won't be, won't get a slap with an additional content warning. Are you taking the Tuesday off? Yeah. Yeah. What are you, fucking crazy? I was looking at something that I think is interesting, I guess. But I was looking at my stats leading up to the election. from 2020. And that was, remember, COVID, right? And the stats leading up to the election, my max viewership, like one day before the election or 2 days before the election, was around like 28K. And I guess I was wrong because like even back then it was during COVID too. And it's interesting to think about because like now I'm 40K average, but leading up to the election, then it goes it skyrockets after post election for like the week or maybe even the month after. And I was wrong. Like, I was wrong that I thought that the numbers were looking bad in comparison to like the last election cycle. And yeah, I did peak more than the election night with January 6th. Let's
Take
continue.
a look at the polling aggregates across those 7 key battlegrounds that we've been talking about, right? In your Sun Belt, you see a little bit more red than blue. In fact, there is no blue in the Sun Belt. But again, it's way too close to call. Trump by 3 in Arizona, 2 in Georgia, 1 in North Carolina, a tie in Nevada. Come over to those Great Lakes and a little bit more blue here. But look at this, just a point in Michigan.
But in 2021, there was a long period where you were 40K. That's why you're probably confused. Yeah.
Less than a point. When you're breaking out this symbol, Jessica, the less than, you know how close the race is. And then, of course, in Pennsylvania,
I was canvassing the other day while wearing your merch, and everyone out with me said they'll be tuning to you on election day. Hell yeah. Your numbers for the Never Kevers were hilarious. Can't believe people cared so much about that shit. Yeah, it was really funny. What was your peak during the Kevin McCarthy Speaker of the House situation? Hashtag Never Kever. Yeah, there was a lot of fun. There's been a lot of fun moments on this broadcast. Let's be real. We'll see. We'll see what happens with the election. Do you think they're purposely making the election look close when it's not? No, I'm not. I'm not thinking that. I do think that they are slanted in favor of Donald Trump a little bit, but that doesn't mean that they're doing it for like some secret reason. It is close. I think it is definitely a close election. Now, same day voter turnout is important. What is this? What is it going to take for Mike from PA coverage? Oh, yeah, dude, of course. Dude, especially, listen, Michael from Pennsylvania, especially if fucking Kamala Harris is winning, you know I'm going to fucking posterize your ass. And you can come talk shit if Donald Trump is winning, okay? I'll give you your fucking flowers. You know that I agree with your analysis. We're almost completely aligned on this. Okay. We're almost completely aligned on this. You are, I would say, like you and I are right in the fucking center where I have been leaning in favor of Kamala Harris winning the election, and you've been leaning in favor of Donald Trump winning the election for the exact same reasons that we've talked about. The predictions for an unknowable outcome are close, but the results won't necessarily be. It's just not going to be reflected in any of the predictions because that's not how it works by definition. All right. This is we're going to talk about the Iran stuff in a second, but here
there's a lot of spirit.
This is how Trump world reacted to the Seltzer poll.
He's right. Well, there's a lot of spirit here, and we even have the polls up, but I think it's much more than the polls. No, the polls, I'm telling you, you can make those suckers sing. You get the right pollster, you can do, and you really do inflict damage. When you do like this person from Iowa. Today, the election essentially is really, we're talking Turkey, comes out with a poll different from every other poll because it wasn't even in question. It's really the opposite way. I'm way up. If you look at 3-4 months ago, Dan.
Lil Tits? What the fuck? Pennsylvania's got some fake ass names for his towns, dog. What the hell is Little Tits? Littits.
I was losing states that now are walks. They're now walks, and I think you could have.
I know about Middlesex. I think New Jersey has a Middlesex too.
That here, it's called suppression. They suppress, and it actually should be illegal because it's.
I remember you having more fun in your 2020 election season streams than this one. You seem down to me. Is that a fair assessment? Yes, America is on the fucking downturn. Clifford never covers about view count.
I need the latest. I need to be up to date, second by second.
53,000 people were tuned in to watch Never Kevers on the night. Okay? 53,000 people were tuned in. And I think it was like a Friday night. That's so stupid. That's so fucking stupid, dude. Why is this community so dumb? But yeah, no, I am definitely more upset about the future of this country. And there are obviously good reasons to be upset about the future of this country. It's not as fun when you got an ongoing act of genocide that has been, happening for the past 12 plus months at this point. And both parties have become more reactionary on the issue of immigration. All this stuff hurts my soul. And I am genuinely fearful. About the future of this country. So
in many ways, it's worse than the written word, which these guys do quite well, actually. He's right.
Yeah, he's coping. He's doing copium. I asked Trump if he, okay, this is Jonathan Carl from ABC News. He says, I asked Trump if he believed there was any way he could lose. He said, yeah, I guess, Trump answered. I guess you could lose, can lose. I mean, that happens, right? But I think I have a pretty substantial lead. But you could say, yeah, you could lose. Bad things could happen. Crazy. I think the Ozempic is causing him to have low T. That's a wild take. That is a wild take because Trump world has been running with, we're winning every state. We're going to win New York. New York is a swing state now. It's so funny that he's depressed. There was an Emerson poll at the same time where he was up 10, Lamau. That's what I'm saying. I think, oh my God, a chatter is correct. Remember what I told you guys about the golf thing? You're right. It is no golf. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's the no golf. Oh my God. It became true. The prediction is real. Him not being able to golf anymore because of fucking credible threats to his life is literally causing him bodily harm. Oh no. Oh no. Also, this was funny. NTD fucking woke cameraman hurting Trump.
9 years, we've had the biggest rallies in history of any country. And every rally, you don't have any seats that are empty. You don't have anything. I mean, the one we had today, you missed a beauty. We could have filled that place up 20 times. I mean, that was beautiful. And the Virginia rally, did you hear about the Virginia rally? That was, Glenn Youngkin did a great job, the governor of Virginia. And they had a crowd there that was incredible. And then we came here. And we don't want to be late, but it's very hard when you do these things. It's very hard, and you don't mind a little bit. We weren't very late. Just a few minutes.
You can't be doing a full
minutes,
pan.
Depending on your definition of when it's going to start. But we've been doing. I was talking to some
Grand
people.
Text, thank you for the 10
In a way
gifted.
it's sad, and in a way it's beautiful. Beauty. We could have filled that place up 20 times. I mean.
He's like, the crowds is so crazy. We've filled the entire arena. It's never been this full. It's never been this full ever.
That was beautiful. And the Virginia rally, did you hear about the Virginia rally? That was Glenn Youngkin did a
What? It's funny because he's getting fact checked in real time by the NTD camera person, which is wild because NTD is like the Falun Gong operation. They're the nuttiest guys out there. Boys, my food is here. NTD and Epoch Times are like the Falun Gong op. Keep going, it gets better. Hold on, I'm gonna fucking keep going. Calm down, Jesus Christ, y'all are chill the fuck out. These are like, this is Trump world shit. This is like right side broadcasting going against what Donald Trump is saying by showing the rally sizes not being as big or the room not being as filled.
The governor of Virginia, and they had a crowd there that was incredible. And then we came here, and we don't want to be late, but it's very hard when you do these things. It's very hard, and you don't mind a little bit. We weren't very late. Just a few minutes. Depending on your definition of when it's going to start. But we've been doing. I was talking to some of the people. It's sort of, in a way it's sad, and in a way it's beautiful. I was talking to them, and I said, this is coming to an end. These rallies are coming to an end. We've been doing them.
Oh my God, they're showing people leaving. Oh, dude. I can't help but get a little libbed up, dude. I'm sorry. I know people think it's like gross of me, but when I see Trump having low motion or losing momentum, it does make me a little happy.
Years. We started a year before, and we've had tremendous success. In 2016, we did phenomenally, right? We went in, they gave us a 3% chance, and sort of like amazing, right? 3%. That means 97% for crooked Hillary and 3% for me. And I was saying, well, I went to Iowa, and I had 48,000 people, and she had about 300 people. And then we went to another one in another state. We had 49,000.
I think it's funny to say that about Hillary Clinton when Kamala Harris has had larger fucking crowds and larger rallies than both Joe Biden, which happened during COVID, so it's a little different, and certainly than Hillary Clinton.
1,000 people. She had 243 people. And I kept saying, why are we going to lose? Why?
Even the viewership declined. It went from 4.8K to 4.4K in this time frame.
Why are we going to lose? And we didn't lose, you know. We ended up winning. And we ended up winning the presidency, right? And that was an exciting night. Remember how it started? It started with a bunch of fake news. Look, there they are. That's a lot of fake news. That's a hell of a lot of fake news. The fakers, I call them now. I'm sort of lightening up. I'm starting to like them, too. I don't know what it would be like to get good publicity. I really don't. They treat me so badly.
Wait, they cut it off? Bro got fired on the spot. That's crazy. Okay, another point for panic. They've activated Alex Jones.
You know they're not going to just give up easily after the impeachments and the Russian collusion crap and all the fake indictments and the lawfare. This is common sense. So I'm saying be ready for the Civil War conditions and the not certifying it, and Marvel saying we need a armed uprising against Trump and Trump supporters. I mean, these people are going for broke. And mainline Republican supporters aren't really ready for this. Trump is starting to get it and was talking about all this just minutes ago. You know they're not going to just give up easily after the impeachments and the Russian collusion crap and all the fake indictments and the...
Why does he look so red? Oh, here's another indication. Does he hate Trump? No, he loves Trump. That was, I think, what killed Alex Jones a little bit. Alex Jones used to be like anti-Bush. He was like, Bush did 9/11. Like, he was that kind of guy. And Trump totally brought him into the base. And he became this like annoying party defender, like party loyalist. And you can even hear it there when he's talking about like what we must do. It's just, he sucks. No president has done more for farmers in the great state of Iowa than Donald J. Trump. In fact, it's not even close. All polls, except for one heavily skewed towards the Democrats by a Trump hater who called it totally wrong the last time, have me up by a lot. I love the farmers and they love me. The Just Out Emerson poll has me up 10 points in Iowa. Thank you. Also, the garbage truck comments. The garbage truck bit only hurt Trump more with Puerto Rican voters, which is pretty funny. He did a callback to it. HuffPost spoke with several Puerto Rican voters outside of Seatown Supermarket in Bethlehem Southside, across the street from the Puerto Rican Beneficial Society. Isla Vega and Nidel Pacheco of Hellertown, a borough south of Bethlehem, both said they had never voted before, but Hinchcliffe's remarks were the reason they plan to vote for Harris on Tuesday. That hit the spot right there, Vega said. They keep saying, oh, he's only a comedian. It still hurts. Pacheco saw Trump's decision to pose in a garbage truck at a campaign stop in Wisconsin the following day as an additional insult. If he didn't have nothing to do with it, what's he doing in the garbage truck? Pacheco asked. Pacheco. No one heard the Biden part of the story, so they assumed the garbage truck was a reference to the Puerto Rico comment again, most terminally online campaign on earth. Yup. It was too fast, too. It was too quick of a turnover. Last thing I'm going to talk about with the Seltzer poll. It's already been said by quite a lot of people at the point, but the main driving force of Harris's surge in the final Seltzer polls due to abortion in state's recent abortion bill. On the ground, I see this groundswell of opposition against the bill for months. To start with a basic fact, what do Iowans think of the 6-week ban? They dislike it quite a lot. As we've seen in many culturally conservative states over the last 2 years, a large majority of Iowans dislike the abortion ban. Again, too insane. Too insane for the normal whites. You can't have it. You can't do that. Can't be doing that. Even a plurality of men oppose the bill. And an incredibly large majority of women in the state oppose it. Okay? In the breakdowns, you can shed some light on a lot of the more dramatic shifts in the Seltzer poll. 71% of suburban adults, 88% of suburban women. These are voters that are more likely to shift away from Trump this year when a lot of them voted for him in 2020. Why do you think men support the bill? More men support the bill? What do you think? What do you think? It's because they're dudes. They're never going to have to get a fucking abortion. So they don't think. The entire premise of the abortion ban is basically about controlling women's bodies. And, you know, not to get all fucking Radlibby up in this bitch, but yeah, men kind of fuck with that. They like it. Or at the very least, they're selfish and they don't think about it. That's it. yeah, for them, they either A, don't give a fuck because it's like, it don't bother me. I don't give a shit. Yeah, it seems like life is life. We should preserve it or whatever the fuck. Or they just straight up like it. Even pro-life advocates believe the bill is uniquely harsh. It single-handedly helped crash Kim Reynolds' approval rating. There are things Seltzer and many other people around here pointed in regards to the results of the final poll. And while it's easy to sift through the crosstabs and call bull, there are very good reasons to believe that the overall shifts are happening. To end, I'd like to note one little part of the Seltzer poll I found interesting. We didn't see Trump lose support. We saw Harris gain support. She surged with new voters and independents. In my opinion, that grants the poll different credibility than if Trump had lost a lot of ground. If you want more decent Iowa politics coverage, I might try to focus on it. Okay, now let's get back to Harry Enton. We're doing poll watch, baby.
Important Pennsylvania. Todd.
Why is caring about things that specifically affect women rad lib and therefore bad? Genuine question. No. I consider it rad libby to make like hollowed out reductive analysis to be like, oh, men are bad. Okay, that's it. That's why I'm saying not to get all rad libby, but you know, men are kind of bad. Anyway, is there any more selfish, narcissistic, self-centered fucking critical analysis that you would like to contribute while we are looking at polls? Or should we get back to poll watch? I love this. The increased interest in the election has brought back some of the most annoying fucking type of rad libs and people who are ostensibly leftist. Rad libs and people who are ostensibly leftist who are like, I am going to use woke emancipatory language in an effort to just, you know, bring forward a very selfish perspective here that is going to derail the conversation. Welcome back. The reality of the matter is we don't allow that type of shit in here, you know? It doesn't work that way here. Let's continue.
ITIED. That's the bottom line of this election. Way too close to call at this point. All of the key states within a couple of points, and arguably the most important one, Pennsylvania, TIED.
Just tied. Put that in terms of the electoral map for us. How does that bear out?
Yeah, how does the electoral map bear out? Well, if the results match the polling averages, guess what? Neither candidate gets to 270 electoral votes. I don't even know what other way to put it, because Pennsylvania becomes the all-important key state. Whoever wins Pennsylvania wins the election. We've been talking about it week after week after week. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, just to the southwest of me here in New York City, becomes the all-important state. If you can figure out who wins Pennsylvania, you probably know who's going to win the election, because at this point, the polls can only tell you that both candidates are short of the 270 electoral votes needed to win. That is, of course, if the polls are actually right on the money, which they probably won't be.
Okay, explain that to us, because they're not perfect.
No, they are not perfect. So, you know, let's go through history, right? Let's go back since 1972 and look at the key battleground states and say, how off were the polling averages? The polls aren't perfect. They are a tool. They get you in the neighborhood. But when the race is this close, when all the key battleground states are within 3 percentage points, that's within the average error band. The average error band for state polling average since 1972 is, get this, 3.4 points. 3.4 points. And then if you talk about a margin of error, right, like a 95% confidence interval, we're talking about more like plus or minus 9 points. All of the key battleground states are within this error band, and they're actually within the average error band as well. So let's kind of talk about what happens if you have an average error and apply it to the electoral map, right? Well, if we have an average error and Donald Trump benefits from the average error, guess what? He gets way past 270 electoral votes. He gets to 312. Why? He carries all the Great Lake battleground states. He carries the Southeast battleground states in North Carolina and Georgia. And he carries Nevada.
This is dumb. Like, this is such a stupid way to do this, especially when there's so many fucking polls that are like, there are so many polls that are junk. Like, I think this time around especially, there are, like, back in the day, you had Trafalgar, you had Rasmussen, you had a couple, like, very obviously right-wing slanted polls. Now it's like, it's insane. And yeah, if you try to fucking extrapolate any sort of, like, average data, like, average, if you try to look at like the margin of error and slam a fucking 9-point differential, then what the fuck are we doing? You might as well make up numbers at that point. I don't think this is like solid analysis. I think they're just bored and filling airwaves at that point. You know what I mean? So you are cherry picking? What? I think poll grading kind of matters, don't you think? Like, and yes, applying a 3-point error in this direction is also silly because the base that they're pulling from has massive swings. Like applying a 3-point error in this situation, when you look at the aggregate of all of the polls, which include a lot of fucking junk polls, without weighing junk polls across their biases, whether it's a liberal leaning one or a Republican leaning one, is going to lead you to false conclusions, I think.
And Arizona out west. But of course, Jessica, there's no guarantee that the polls being off would necessarily benefit Donald Trump, even though they did both in 2016 and 2020, because they could, in fact, the polling miss could benefit Kamala Harris like it did the Democrats back in 2022. If there was, in fact, a polling miss that benefited Kamala Harris, an average polling miss, she'd get north of 300 electoral votes. Look at that. She'd get to 319. Why? She'd carry the Great Lake battleground states, right? She'd carry Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. She'd carry the Southeast battleground states, Georgia, North Carolina. And she'd carry the Southwest battleground states of Nevada and Arizona. So the bottom.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, it was a close race. If it swings 3 points in one direction, Kamala Harris wins big. If it swings 3 points in the other direction, Donald Trump wins big. I know.
All right, North Carolina. So we have.
All right, let's look at the other side of Truth World, okay? Even Patriot polling is hurting. Patriot polling, swing states poll. Arizona, +3 for Trump. North Carolina, +2 for Trump. Georgia, +1 for Trump. Pennsylvania, +1 for Trump. Michigan tied. Wisconsin tied. Nevada tied. Patriots, rise up. I thought this would have been... +10 for Trump everywhere across the board. What the hell's going on? This is a verbatim transcription of Trump's meltdown at a rally today. Let's be honest, if your grandpa was speaking like this, you'd seek help, not give him the nuclear codes. Yeah, the problem is a lot of people are just as stupid. So they think it's cool because he reflects their own personal positions on the matter when he speaks like that.
3 days left in one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime, and we still have work to do.
This is a very important state, and we have to get this solved. We have to get you out, and we can't take a chance of losing the great state of North Carolina. We're not going to lose the great.
So here we go now, 2 days and counting. Remember we were starting this thing like 60 days ago? Home stretch right there. State of the race. Come on over here, Jimmy. This is what our forecasts have been looking like, and this really goes back more than a month. All right, we think everything in gold and or yellow is a toss-up, right? But about a week ago, we had Arizona lean Republican, so we gave it that little rosé red color there. I don't know what's going on in Iowa, Dana, right? I mean, we've got it likely Republican. You know, Trump won at 9 points in 2016, won at 8 points in 2020, so we'll see how that goes. Here's another thing to look at, all right? You know, this is New York Times from overnight, okay? These are all the swing states. Everything's super close as best as we can tell. Look, someone's going to be right, someone is going to be wrong. That's just what it comes down to. They've got Trump ahead in Arizona. They've got her up a point in Georgia. They got a dead tie in Michigan. They got Carolina Harris leading there by 2. They got Harris up 3 in Nevada, but if you look at some of the early voting in Nevada, Republicans have done a very good job of turning out their voters. In fact, they've got a lead right there by about almost 5 points right now in the early voting in Nevada. Pennsylvania, flat out tie right there. I'll come back to that in a moment. And they've got Wisconsin up too. So what do we know? James Blair might know a few things. Political director, RNC, Trump campaign. James, good morning to you. Just give us your state of the race right now. What does your campaign see?
We're very optimistic right now. We feel good about where things are. Right now, obviously, what we're watching is people are voting. And what we've seen is historic early voting by Republicans outperforming 2020 or even 2022. So from our perch, things look pretty good right now. I'm sure we'll go through state by state, but some highlights. North Carolina, we won the early vote. That's never happened.
Every time they talk about this, I believe Austin further on the early vote cannibalization theory. Like, we'll see, but you want to believe them? No. I mean, it is certainly optimistic, but there is truth to the matter. I was listening to the run up earlier today, the last one that came out like a couple weeks ago, I think. And well, Austin's idea, and a lot of libs have been saying this, it's not just Austin, is that, and this is true, Republicans, especially in 2020, openly poo-pooed against early voting. And part of that was because they wanted to have a red mirage. Part of that was deliberate because they were like, oh, go vote same day so your votes are counted and then we can make it seem like we won. Right? And that technique was very stupid because it stopped people from going out and early voting, which is a reliable way to vote. And the Democrats took advantage of that because they were like, no, of course, early vote. Are you fucking kidding me? And it made it, because it's easier to vote. If you vote early, it's much easier to vote, especially at a time when there's universal mail-in ballot registration and universal access in general, where you could have just mailed your vote due to COVID. So Republicans were basically advocating against that. Donald Trump was advocating against that. This time around, they didn't do that. They actually were urging people to go out and vote early. And I think that is the reason why you see a lot of early voters. You were making an argument for a Trump campaign advantage today. I think that the idea is that you're seeing a lot more people vote early, but the problem is there is a finite amount of pool of voters, reliable voters for the Republican Party. And the idea is that in comparison to 2020, a lot more Republicans are early voting now, and therefore there will be less Republican momentum, less Republican motion on same-day turnout. So we shall see if it's true or not on election day, but I feel like it might be correct.
Happened before. In Nevada, the mail dumps are coming in and they're not as blue as the Democrats would like them to be, and there's not as many of them. So lots of good signs in our direction right now.
Okay, I want to read this from Nate Cohn. This is some of the New York Times polling that I showed our viewers here. Across these final polls, white Democrats were 16% likelier to respond than white Republicans. That's a larger disparity than our earlier polls this year, and it's not much better than our final polls in 2020, even with the pandemic over. It raises the possibility that the polls could underestimate Mr. Trump yet again. We do a lot to account for.
That's so funny because the entire underlying premise of Nate Cohn's article is that they're just adding like 2 points to Donald Trump across the board due to fears that they're getting it wrong. Like, that's the entire point. They're saying that, like, oh, Dems are more responsive to our polls, so we have to, like, manage it by tilting the scales in the opposite direction.
For this, but in the end, there are no guarantees. How do you read that?
I think it's covering. I think that they know where things stand. Look, in all of those polls, in all the battleground states, I heard Carl before this talking about the recalled vote, they've set the electorate to the left of 2020, which doesn't comport with what we know, which is that all of these electorates.
This is such a funny way to lie to your own audience, by the way. And it's the entire issue with like the way that Fox News does news coverage. Because like if you just rob the entire article of its like underlying premise and only show that aspect of the article completely out of context, you're fucking stupid. You're telling your audience a lie, and they are going to be shocked and maybe even angry when the election results don't match the reality that you've presented it as. They're going to be like, how could this have happened? Fox News told me we were winning bigly. And I think that might be part of the reason why they're doing it, but it's still pretty dangerous and very annoying. And that's why I get super fucking mad at even some of my haters who just like lie about my or who have wrong analysis, right? And I'm like, if you're watching these other fucking content creators who were like riding with Biden until the last moment, right? Like, don't you even feel a little bit resentful for being duped into believing something so fucking stupid? Like, do Fox News watchers at this point ever feel resentful to be like, I feel duped, I feel misguided, I feel like watching Fox News led me into thinking something entirely different? Now, I don't think they do that because there's no self-reflection involved, obviously. And the other reason why they don't do that is because Fox just doubles down.
have moved to the right just on a registration eligible electorate basis itself. And obviously we see that starting to manifest in the early voting patterns. So I think that they're sort of putting some cover out there because they're going to underrepresent President Trump's support. What they essentially are saying there is we got too many Democrats in the survey. We don't have enough Republicans. We know that, but we're going to publish these numbers on the eve of the election anyway.
So the pollsters have told us that they've accounted for this because of the miss in 16, the miss in 2020. And we'll see whether or not that happens. Wall Street Journal has been a big target for your campaign. Young men could boost Trump to victory if they show up. That's the headline. What are you seeing out there in the battlegrounds?
Let's just talk about the partisan registration states where they register by party, because then you don't have to take my word for it. You can go look for yourself. Nevada, Arizona, Pennsylvania, North Carolina. Republicans have turned out more 0 of 4 voters and 1 of 4 voters, so those less frequent or newly registered voters, than the Democrats have in every single one of those states. So I'd say that there's evidence that it's working on our part. We are turning out those lower propensity.
I mean, they could be young men, or they could just be conspiracy guys, or they could be young men who are conspiracy guys.
Voters, be they young men or otherwise. So everything you can measure right now suggests that it's going well for us.
My sense is on Tuesday, we're going to be spending a lot of time in Pennsylvania. Maybe that's right, maybe it's wrong. But this 8 years ago, this is Trump winning that state by 44,000 votes over Hillary Clinton.
Listen, low and mid-propensity voters are unreliable. So let me explain something to you, okay? Low and mid-propensity voters are unreliable unless you are presenting them with a reason to go out and fucking vote. Trump has been ironically doing the Democratic-style harm reduction campaign, but from the right. This is why I suspect that the conspiracy voters, people who are definitely very openly pro-Trump, might not show up come election day because you're not offering them anything. In 2016, Donald Trump offered them something. He offered them owning of the libs. He offered them owning Hillary Clinton, locking Hillary Clinton up, unsealing the 9/11 files, like all this shit. He hasn't really done that this time around. I think the one thing that he said he would do is he's going to ban fluoride in the water or something. Like that just came out today. But he used to do more shit like that, and he's not really doing it no more. He's just constantly talking about how shitty Kamala Harris is and how she's a dumb broad. And while that might be enough for people to be like, yeah, I'm pro-Trump, I don't fucking care about her, she's a whore or whatever. I don't think that like that's enough of a motivator to get people to go out and vote.
4 years ago, this is Biden winning the state by 81,000 votes in 2020. We'll see, but it's just my sense that the Keystone State will be very critical and key come Tuesday. How much can your campaign do in the closing 48 hours?
A lot. We can keep getting out the vote. And let's talk about Pennsylvania. Right now, there's nearly 700,000 registered Democrats in the state of Pennsylvania who had cast a vote by this point in 2020 or 2022, and they haven't cast a vote yet, and they don't have mail ballots. That's a huge hurdle for them to climb. Secondarily, again, we've talked about the voter registration before, Bill, but just to put a fine point on it, there was 685,000 more registered Democrats in the state of Pennsylvania 4 years ago than Republicans. Today, that number has been cut to about 280,000. So a huge swing in our direction.
James Blair, thank you for your time. I know you're working day and night. Thanks for coming on today, and we'll see who's right. Thanks.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
I have a piece of glass over here, and I don't have a piece of glass there. And I have this piece of glass here, but all we have really over here is the fake news, right? And to get me, somebody would have to shoot through the fake news, and I don't mind that so much, because I don't mind that. We had the best economy ever. We had the wall. We had
good closing message. That's solid, man. You've done such a fantastic job showing everybody how normal of a guy you definitely are. Like, and how, like, all of the people's worst fears about you, if you win the election, you certainly have convinced them that they are untrue. Good job, sir.
Had everything. I built over 500 miles of wall. They don't even talk about the wall. But we had the best border, the safest border. I won't pull down my world's favorite chart because I don't want to waste a lot of your time. But my world's
Wait,
favorite
why'd you bring
chart
back
done
that
by
shirt?
the Border Patrol, it said we had the safest border in the history of our country the day that I left. I shouldn't have left. I mean, honestly, because we did so well. We had such a great. So now, I mean, every polling booth has hundreds of lawyers standing there. It's all about the lawyers. Everybody's standing lawyers. Nobody should have that. You should have a damn ballot and you hand it in. Do you know that in Arizona, where I'm winning by a lot, but it takes 4 hours to fill out the ballot. They've got page after page, and people are complaining they don't have time. It takes 4 hours to fill it out. Why is that? Why is that? I can tell you why. But so many places. Pennsylvania, I love Pennsylvania. I went to school here. I think the people are incredible. But they found, as I understand it, I mean, I don't know what's happened in the last day or so, but in Lancaster, they found 2,600 ballots, all done by the same hand. In other words, the same exact penmanship, the same.
No. This is not good, man. Oh my God. Oh fuck. This motherfucker knows he's gonna lose. And the more he knows he's gonna lose, the more he's beefing up the fucking election is stolen shit already. All right, buckle in. Buckle in for some motherfucking unrest, dude. A Brooks Brothers riot in every corner, you know? Oh yeah, it's a chicken katsu from my favorite curry place. Damn, dude, you're eating it cold? You fucking animal. There's also curry if you want to dip it in the curry. Oh, Miskiff's here. You're streaming from the podcast room. Ron, you look skinny as hell, dude. What size is that shirt? God damn.
And the same everything. It was all done by the same pen, the exact same pen. And then they go and they say, well.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Like, call me libbed up, whatever. This is very dangerous rhetoric. He is very clearly, very deliberately trying to, he's kickstarting the process. Like, when he thought he was winning, you didn't hear this shit that much. But now that he fears that he is going to lose, he's already started sowing the seeds of doubt, which is kind of stupid to do, especially like right before the election. You're depressing voter turnout again. I guess, like, even from your own personal, like, even from a self-interest point, like, this is literally what he did in 2020, this dumbass. Like, he depressed his own voter turnout to a certain degree because there were people who were like, well, my vote's not counting. Or people who went out and voted on election day. But this also simultaneously is just like hogging up the hogs.
This is a conspiracy theorist.
Come here, Hannah. Shake my.
Elections are about having better lawyers, how he views it. Trump and PA told supporters he shouldn't have left the White House in 2021 in a speech where he also repeated unfounded claims of widespread election fraud and said election is all about the lawyers. These people are such fucking freaks. I hate this shit so much, dude. They're so unbearable. They're so fucking unbearable with this shit. Oh my God. My dad is kind of an ex-libertarian MSNBC liberal who's trying to convince me that the state and local officials all over the country have changed the law so they won't recognize the results if Trump loses and that he can be easily able to overturn it. Wait, what? No, I don't think that's not. I work for a cybersecurity company. We're tracking a big Russian misinfo campaign on social media in Pennsylvania. The goal seems to be to prime the Republican base for a stolen election. Looks like Russia doesn't need to bother. Trump is doing it for them. Dude, the amount of people that I've heard like openly say the election was stolen in 2020 still to this fucking day is so dire, dude. This is why we need re-education camps, okay? I'm sorry. You might say, oh, tanky Hassan, re-education camps, gulag. You want another Alexander Solzhenitsyn, however the fuck you say his name, gulag archipelago shit. That's what you want. And it's like, dude, we just need education in general. Like, these people are living on a separate fucking planet. They are living in a different universe. This is not good.
They had plenty of protests after that.
Yes, they did.
Protests are different from
Protests are different than an insurrection.
Yeah.
No one broke into government buildings.
We disagree on that.
With more young adults living at home with their parents, the political divide between generations is more obvious than ever. And according to an NBC News Gen Z poll, more than half of Gen Zers have different political views than at least one of their parents, with about a third saying they...
You're getting libbed up? Wait, you're getting libbed up? January 6th was funny? Yeah, the problem isn't January 6th. January 6th was like directed towards one thing. The problem is the successful version of January 6th, which is the Brooks Brothers riot, which will happen in every fucking state where they like physically try and stop the votes from being counted. Do you understand the issue here? Remembering during 2020, there were different parts of America screaming, count the votes and stop the votes at the same time? I do remember that, yes.
Those votes with my AR-15.
I present to you Trump's legal argument. That's pretty good. That's pretty funny. Retweet by Dave Weigel. Not a single one of those motherfuckers that went to those rallies think that they were wrong to do so. And they personally believe that, like, the election was stolen. That's the issue. Shit like this wants to make me more and more apathetic voters come out for Harris. Fuck her being complicit in the genocide, but the shit is genuinely scary as fuck. I was not considering not, but then Trump started saying this insane shit and I voted for her again. Fuck Kamala Harris, but my vote in Georgia matters a fuck ton and I'm genuinely afraid for the future of our country, but more so under a Trump presidency. Yeah, I think the calculation is that for a lot of people, especially as more and more people pay attention. I've said this before. I'm not going to ever fucking shit on you for voting for Kamala Harris. Like, that would be ridiculous. The only thing I would ever shit on people for is if they vote for Donald Trump. And overall, like, I think the crisis is larger than just like what we are seeing immediately. Does that make sense? Farming the libs today, are we? No, there is no farming of the libs, dumbass. The fuck are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? You have a crisis of misinformation. Do you understand? Liberals engage in this to a certain degree as well. But this is like, there is nothing you can compare this to. You got an entire fucking, like, you got tens of millions of people just straight up hallucinating a different reality. Okay? Like, what are you talking about? I don't think it's okay to say you will never talk shit to those who vote for Harris. I mean, your vote is your vote. I understand why people do the harm reduction voting. What do you mean? I have maintained this position over and over again. I'm never going to stop. I'm never going to tell you not to vote for Kamala Harris. And I said that from the jump. Like, there has never been a moment where I've even remotely considered the positive side of a Trump presidency. The thing I will shit on you for is if you personally come in here and you're like, I voted for Kamala Harris because I'm saving this country. I voted for Kamala Harris because she's going to stop the genocide in Gaza. Like, all that stuff is ridiculous. You're nonsense. You're pushing nonsense. I won't let you like outflank the campaign's own communications because I'm always going to be truthful. Like, I'm always going to be honest with you. That's it. Percentage Gen Z with differing politics as their parents. 31% differ from both parents. 44% share both parents' political party. 24% differ from one parent.
They differ from both parents. We went to the battleground state of Georgia to see what this looks like for actual families.
I'm curious, have those conversations ever gotten tense?
Oh, those conversations get tense all the time. We'll get into it, and then, of course, here in the middle of the night, mom just yelling downstairs, why don't you be quiet?
22-year-old David Dilley lives with his parents Lyle and Brandy and his two brothers. This will be his second time voting for former President Donald Trump, while his parents...
I plan to vote for Harris.
Me as well. We've debated on how we feel about vaccines. We've debated, border crossings. And there's areas we kind of...
God damn. Dog, that shit's crazy. Like young Republicans I don't understand it. I don't know what it is. It's like, why do you look like that, bro? How did this happen? Like, what is it? Is there a point where you just go, I'm a Republican, and then automatically you just age 2 decades? Like, how the fuck does this happen? I don't get it, brother. And this isn't, don't say it's COVID. Don't say Gen Z just looks old. I'm not kidding. This has been the same principle since when I was a fucking wee little baby, okay? It literally does not matter. Guys, come on. Look at conservative commentators and shit like, what was his name? Harlan Hill. He looks like a baby who is also the oldest man in America at the same time. And he was like 25. Young conservatives always have that stink on them. I don't know what it is. It's weird.
Agreed on the middle, okay? But we usually end up disagreeing at the end of the day.
When you learned that your son wanted to vote for Trump, he voted for Trump in 2020, how did that land for you?
I was a little surprised. I would never place a vote for Trump. The way he represented a member of the news media. Our oldest son has cerebral palsy. And so to see him be like, that's okay, I'm still gonna vote, that hit me a little hard.
Has that changed the relationship at all?
No, I mean, he's not Donald Trump. He's my son.
Yeah, that's a crazy question. It's like, yeah, dude, the parents are going to hate their child now because he's fucking voting for Donald Trump. Like, yeah, here's a Hog Talks last stitch that proves your point.
I'm a white dude for Harris. Of course my wife lets me watch her and her boyfriend make love.
How old do you think this dude is?
30, 35.
He's 22.
That's insane.
In milk years?
White dude for Harris.
That's insane. Okay, I mean, dude, there's something going on. There is something going on, brother. We need to figure out the fucking crisis that is happening to our young men. They are all looking like old men. Okay? We need to figure this out. We need to put a shutdown on Conservatalk until we figure out what the hell is going on. Bro, been through 2 divorces, leave him alone. It does. It looks like he has. How's that even possible? Oh God, this shit freaks me out, dude. It actually freaks me out. Anyway, this divide, by the way, this like generational divide is pretty funny, but it's also legitimately terrifying because I feel like in the future, like we currently have a rural, suburban versus urban divide in terms of how people vote. But I think beyond that, there is going to be a gender divide, especially in the next generation. It's kind of fucked up. Trump is not funding a genocide, but you have not stopped shaming him and his supporters for like 2 fucking weeks. Are you okay? Blink twice if you're being silenced by Zionists, or is this who you really are? Just 2 dudes on my screen wearing polos. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. 2 preppy Americans, if you ask me. Trump is not funding a genocide, but you've never stopped shaming him. Do you actually think Donald Trump is the anti-genocide vote? Are you out of your fucking mind? You're really that horny for genocide that you're going to chastise people for voting for a Republican and generalized conservatives? Are you fucking brain dead? Did you hit your head on the way over here this morning to start typing in this chat like this? Are you actually out of your fucking mind? Dog, which party is responsible for the war on terror originally? It's the Republicans. Donald Trump himself is absolutely pro-genocide. Donald Trump is the most popular politician in Israel. Donald Trump is constantly having phone conversations with Benjamin Netanyahu. The Democratic Party's complete capitulation to the most bloodthirsty aspects of ultra-Zionists in Israel in the government and the actions of the military does not change that reality. Donald Trump got $100 million this time around from Sheldon Adelson's wife, Miriam Adelson. Last time around, Sheldon Adelson and Miriam Adelson were some of the biggest donors to Donald Trump, which is precisely the reason why he gave Israel Golan Heights, which Sheldon or Miriam did not even ask for. Donald Trump took the American embassy and moved it to Jerusalem, permanently solidifying the occupation of East Jerusalem, recognizing it as Israeli territory. Donald Trump also did the Abraham Accords. Donald Trump cast aside the Iran denuclearization policy, which would have normalized relations with Iran. Iran was following through on those conditions. Donald Trump added additional sanctions to Iran after cutting apart the Iran denuclearization agreement, which wasn't even an agreement conducted just by Barack Obama and Iran. It was literally a multiple decade process, which many other European partners were involved in as well. What the fuck are you talking about? Donald Trump openly, personally also was invested in the continuation of the genocide, the Saudi genocide in Yemen. Trump vetoes measure to end the U.S. involvement in Yemen war. Now, let me explain something to you, by the way. All these fucking dumbass libtards that come in here on a daily fucking basis and talk to me about Houthis this, Houthis that, they also were anti this. Now they're pro it because the Democratic Party's position is Operation Prosperity Guardian. Fuck Yemen. We need to blow them up. Okay, because God forbid, Ansar Allah and the Yemeni population are like not exactly on board with Israel's genocide of the Palestinians. But don't ever come in here and fucking tell me that Donald Trump is going to be better on fucking Gaza. What the fuck is wrong with you? You are hallucinating an alternative reality, which makes sense because you're probably a fucking reactionary conservative. Donald Trump's literally just go and watch Donald Trump's anti-Semitism seminar that he gave, where he was like, if I don't win, Jews are the reason. Jews are the reason why I don't win. That entire seminar is just him straight up being like, I've done so much for you fucking Jews. I did so much for Israel. Vote for me. Vote for me today and tomorrow. Chuck Schumer's a Palestinian. He's a Palestinian, folks. He's just saying the most unhinged, psychopathic nonsense. Like, I get looking at the Democratic Party currently openly saying, fuck the Arab vote, fuck the Muslim vote, fuck Gaza, we don't give a shit, okay? I get looking at that and being frustrated. I get being duped by Donald Trump's aesthetic, at least like his aesthetic allegiances, his fake allegiances to the Arab vote. He went to a fucking Palestinian shop in Dearborn, you know? All this shit. Democrats, on the other hand, are actively pushing away people that care about Gaza. But if you genuinely think that Donald Trump is going to be pro-Muslims in the MENA region, or specifically going to put an end to Israel's genocidal actions, you're out of your fucking mind. He is, this time around, saying he is going to annex permanently the West Bank. Okay? That's what Miriam Adelson wants this time around. He's going to do the Esther Project, which is Project 2025's extension to specifically anti-Israel advocates and activists in the United States of America. He wants to do fucking Heritage Foundation wants to use RICO charges and mass deport people who are anti-Israel. Okay? This doesn't change the calculation or the reality that the Democratic Party is also actively pursuing pro-Palestinian protesters like Attorney General Michigan Dana Nessel did. Okay? This doesn't change the reality that Chuck Schumer wants to adopt the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, which is a fucking insane thing to do. It is completely antithetical to free speech, but beyond that, it's completely unacceptable in terms of a definition that you could support ever, okay? It means criticizing Israel as anti-Semitic unconditionally, and Chuck Schumer has said he wants to sneak that into a must-pass defense bill because he's a ginormous piece of shit. But once again, if you come in here and you act like this fucking dipshit is pro-Palestinian, you are a sucker, okay? You're a sucker if you think the Democrats are pro-Palestinian too, okay? Just saying. You are a sucker if you come in here and you tell me Kamala Harris loved the Palestinians. She wants a two-state solution. Kamala Harris is working tirelessly around the fucking clock to stop the genocide in Gaza. You're a fucking sucker. That's not correct, okay? They have made zero inferences to that reality. They've openly communicated that the power that they have over Israel, the influence they have over Israel, they will never utilize, okay? But you're out of your fucking mind if you think that Donald Trump is pro-Palestinian. Give me a fucking break. I love the reality that the Democratic Party is so overtly pro-war, and they certainly are, and it's very frustrating. But the Democratic Party is so overtly pro-war that you now have dumbasses who can come in here and unironically argue that they think the conservative movement is anti-war. There's never been a moment where the conservatives have been anti-war. They don't want to fucking fund Ukraine for one reason or another because I think they're populist and most Americans don't give a shit. Okay. So they're like, yeah, why the fuck do we use all that money in Ukraine? What do they want to use it on? Bombing Mexico. Does that sound like anti-war to you? Does that sound like anti-war to you? The rhetorical trick that Republicans used to always apply, and they still are doing this to this day, and I saw Glenn Greenwald use this trick the other day, and I thought it was like really fucking crazy. That was the reason why I also clocked Tulsi Gabbard as a phony early on. Is this, okay? When you hear someone say this, understand that they are not anti-war unconditionally, and they're simply a charlatan masquerading as someone who is anti-imperialist or anti-war. Okay? When someone tells you this is a bad war and allows it and makes it seem like there is a good war, a useful war to be engaged in instead, know that they're not anti-war. They're anti that war, potentially, okay? But there's definitely wars out there that they are for. Tulsi Gabbard did this expertly as well. A lot of people fucking stupidly thought that she was anti-war because she kept saying, oh, well, I'm for just wars. You know, there are just wars, but this war is bad, but there's a just one out there. She would always say like, oh yeah, you know, any kind of combating of Muslims, that's a good thing. Well, you have no proof or claim that Trump will be worse, and you can at least fucking acknowledge that. Yeah, the fucking difference is you can make up every hypothetical situation where Trump will be worse than Harris on the genocide, but you have no evidence to say that. Of course I have evidence to say that. Donald Trump was the president for the past... Donald Trump was president for 4 years. Harris was not. You could make a literal fucking liberal-ass argument as to like, well, Kamala Harris as president will be different, actually, girl. You have more You have more evidence to suggest that Kamala Harris, once president, could be different than fucking Donald Trump because Donald Trump was president already. I'm not even making that argument because I don't think Kamala Harris is anti-genocide. Okay. But having said that, there is so much evidence to suggest that Donald Trump is already worse because the actions that he took that I directly communicated to you at the behest of Israel set in motion the actions where October 7 became an inevitability. It's something that I've talked about a million times over, as a matter of fact. A lot of Democrats can't talk about that, though, because they're so fucking dick riding Israel that they can't openly talk about this issue from even partisan lines. Think about that, because they're so goddamn pro-Israel that they can't even talk about this issue with objective facts and from a partisan perspective, and how much Donald Trump did that actually accelerated the tensions in the region that actually caused October 7 to begin with. You have no proof to claim that Trump will be worse. You can at least fucking acknowledge that. But do you condemn conservatives? Do you condemn Hamas? And Hamas civilians are terrorists? What are you saying? This person went from being like, Trump is going to be better for the Palestinians, to literally to straight up turning around and being like, do you condemn Hamas? What the fuck? What happened? So I guess you weren't fucking pro-Palestinian emancipation at all. You just are pro-Trump. And you thought that this would be a expert way to try, in your mind, to convince some fucking other dumbasses. Yeah, the neocons are all endorsing Harris because they think Trump will be exactly the same. There's no deeper ideological reason Dick Cheney is riding with Kamala is just for shits and giggles. No. I think that the Democratic Party has adopted the framework of the neocons 100%. But if you think that Donald Trump is going to be fucking any different when it comes to war with Iran, you are the most delusional person ever. What the fuck are you talking about? Dick Cheney wants managed fascism. Donald Trump represents chaotic fascism. That's why Dick Cheney and many of these other fucking neocons are on board with Kamala Harris rather than Donald Trump. They win, we lose. It doesn't matter. No matter who wins, they win.
Damn, this guy's good.